One of the most heavily scrutinized, criticized, talked about athletes in the NFL is Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson. And that's whether he's being talked about in a positive light or being talked about in a negative light. But for some strange reason, a lot of people continue to speak about him in a bad, negative way. Not even in a criticizing way, because there's nothing wrong with criticizing somebody, criticizing their play, criticizing what they need to work on, criticizing their game. But there's a lot of people that they seem to go the extra mile for Lamar Jackson. And in today's episode of the Team Keep It Clean podcast, we're going to talk about why.
Don't get mad, it's just what it is. Yeah, we talking sports, shout out to Ingravenvids. Yeah, this feels like a dream, and you know just what I mean. You see my boy, he like gotta made it, boy, he's a fan and he like the Ravens.
So Team Keep It Clean, welcome to episode 13 of the Team Keep It Clean podcast. Thank you all for supporting the podcast. Thank you for listening, whether you're at the gym, whether you're at work, whether you're at home, whether you're at school. Well, if you're at work or school, maybe you shouldn't be listening to it right now. But maybe you have a school assignment where you have the flexibility where you can listen at the same time. Or if you're working out, you can listen at the same time. Or if you at school or you're at work or whatever you're doing, thank you. It don't even matter what you're doing. I appreciate it. Y'all have just the support that we've been receiving. I appreciate it. So thank you for that. Thank you a lot, because you don't have to do that. Shout out to all the Team Keep It Clean patrons. This episode is especially for the patrons. And just another reminder for all the Team Keep It Clean patrons. If there's ever any subject, within reason though, any topics that you want to go over on the Team Keep It Clean podcast, hey, feel free to let me know. Y'all already know what time it is. But this from my guy Joseph, and appreciate you being a patron. He was the one that brought this to our attention, even though it's brought to our attention like literally all the time, about the hate that Lamar Jackson continues to receive. And this is just, it can be for so many different reasons. We're going to talk about a few of them today. But before we get into it, I got to say, and I haven't said this in a long time, but I'm always thinking about it. Please protect your energy. Protect your energy. It is very, very, very important, and it's just so beneficial, man. When you protect your energy, things just flow that much smoother. They flow that much smoother. You have people that will try to get at you, try to upset you, and they'll try it. They'll continue to try it, but don't give into it. Don't feed into it. It can be easy to feed into it. And trust me, I still got to work on it myself, protecting my own energy. But when you do it, it's much better to be at peace than at war. It's just so much better. The other day, me, my wife, Carter, we went to Costco. And we pulled into the parking lot. And there was this guy in his huge pickup truck. And how do I explain this? We were going straight, but he was in the parking lot, and he didn't have a stop sign. We were going straight, but he was coming out of, he wasn't coming out of a parking spot. He was coming, that area, the area like in parking lots at big stores where there might be like benches and stuff for people to eat and sit down, and it's just open space, and it's where a lot of sometimes shipments get loaded at. But he was in an open space, we were in an open space. So we pulled into the Costco parking lot, and he was looking like he was going to pull out in not in our lane, but pull out on the in the parking lot, the part that we were driving in, and he would have like cut us off, and we would have ran into him. But so he pulled out a little bit into the direction we were going. Then he stopped. Then he put on the brakes and stopped. So and I had the right of way anyway. So I just kept going. Didn't pay him no mind. Just kept going. when he had initially pulled out, I did slow down a little bit, but then he stopped. He like completely stopped. So then I kept going, and then after I passed him, he goes and blows the horn. And I'm like, what? Like, what is that? Like, what was even the point? And I almost blew the horn back, but I let it go. It was hard not to. I think my hand even went to the horn, and maybe I might have pressed it at the wrong spot, but and I told my wife, like, what is he trying to do? What is he trying to prove with that? Because it makes no sense. You were in the wrong. You were dead wrong. And then you get mad at me, and then you're so mad at me that after I already passed you, that's when you want to blow the horn. Like, not when I'm in front of you, not when I'm right next to you, but when I already passed you, that's when you want to blow the horn. And it just didn't make any sense. But we just kept it moving. And again, then I've seen the quote so many times in so many different places where it talks about, don't let a bad 5 seconds ruin a good 24 hours. Because you never want to do that. You never want to do that. Because, again, this is whether they know you or not. This is whether people know you or not. They will try to, they try to just kill the vibe, man. It happens all the time. And then, I mean, of course, y'all already know, especially on YouTube. Oh, boy. You know, on YouTube, people always trying to kill the vibe. But again, you got to protect your energy, man. Got to protect it. It's very important. So please do that, just in life, period. But anyway, let's read what my guy Joseph had to say. He said, I really can't understand why Lamar Jackson gets so much hate instead of appreciation. He's the second youngest unanimous MVP, as well as he led the league in touchdown passes, but we constantly hear LJ cannot throw the football. This is truly wrong for a young quarterback to hear and could affect his growth on trying too hard to improve. The naysayers wrong. Love Lamar Jackson and what he has already done for the Ravens organization. The reason for my post is venting out against these haters who will eventually be proven wrong. I would like to hear your response to this. Have a blessed one. You and the fam. Team, keep it clean. So, Joseph is wondering, why does Lamar Jackson get so much hate? Well, initially, one of those reasons, Lamar Jackson, with him being athletically gifted, you know how like people like to say, oh, he's so athletic, which he is. But anyway, with him just having all the traits that he does on the football field, him being able to do what he can do on the football field, one of the biggest things that they wanted him to do was change positions. Because they were like, wait a minute, this guy, he's a quote-unquote quarterback, but if he can run like he can run, he can probably catch. If he can move like he can move, this guy needs to play receiver. He needs to change positions. Because, there's no, he needs to change positions. Get that man out of the quarterback room. He needs to go be a receiver, running back, something else. He's not a quarterback. He's not going to last as a quarterback. And that was a lot of the vibe from a lot of quote-unquote analysts and experts and whatnot heading into the draft. Even after the draft, there was still some people that said the same thing, that he shouldn't be a quarterback. And even the Ravens, even the way that they used him, like it was, I remember just being so frustrated sometimes because I'm like, man, this guy, like, you're just using him on these gimmick plays, and I'm so scared that you are just going to turn him into a gimmick and have him be a gimmick, and we don't want that. We don't want that. So thank goodness they did sort of prove me wrong, but at the same time, a lot of times it seems as if they rely extra heavy on his talent rather than putting more talent around him. But anyway, we're back to college, heading into the pros. People just saying, they were saying he needs to switch positions. But he stuck with it. Said, nope, I'm a quarterback. And one of the biggest things with Lamar Jackson that I think helped him, and one of the smartest decisions, I don't know if it came directly from him or came from his mom or came from whoever, but it was a great decision, and that was to not run the 40. It was to not run the 40. I mean, you could see, you don't even need the 40 to see that he had football speed, but excuse me, but for him to not run the 40, because, and I know he talked about in the pre-draft process, he talked about people asking him if he would switch to like wide receiver or switch to running back, something like that. But he said, no, I'm not. But with him not running the 40, that really, because the 40 would have, the 40 will have people going crazy. 40 times, oh boy, 40 times they make people shoot up in the draft. And they can make people drop down in the draft, but them 40 times, they mean everything to a lot of people. And I can understand why, because the 40, that's the sexy time. Oh man, this guy ran a 4.2, he ran a 4.3, oh, he's got so much speed. But it doesn't always translate to the field. It doesn't always translate. Just because you ran a fast 40, it doesn't mean you're going to be blazing fast on the football field. Just because you ran a slow 40 doesn't mean you're going to be slow on the football field. 40 speed and football speed is... They are different. They just not, yeah, they're different. But you got pads on, man, so you can slow down a little bit. But you can still be fast. But it's just different, man. It's just different. But anyway, him choosing not to run the 40 to show exactly how fast he was, that helps, because when people would have saw that, they would have been, oh yeah, this guy, he's got receiver speed, and that would have just made people even more. It would have made even more people not want him to be a quarterback. So that happened, which was great. But anyway, so I think one of the biggest reasons that a lot of people don't like or hate on Lamar Jackson, despite all his accomplishments, is because, and we've talked about this a lot, is that, one, they don't want to admit that they were wrong. People do not like admitting that they are wrong. Like, I mean, and that's just a trait of people, period. Like, who loves to be wrong? Well, nobody loves to be wrong, but who likes being wrong and then having to admit that they were wrong? Like, oh, you know what? I was wrong. I was wrong. That's my fault. Who likes apologizing? I don't know anybody who likes it. We still do it. And we can do it respectfully and honestly, but who likes it? Nobody likes to be wrong. So and that's how it was, or actually is, with a lot of these analysts. They were very hard on, hey, Lamar Jackson, you need to change position. He ain't a quarterback. He ain't all that stuff. But he's been doing things unconventionally. And that's another thing too. People don't like when things aren't done the way that they've been being done. If people are doing stuff differently, a lot of people don't like that. A lot of people don't like change. So people don't like being wrong, and a lot of people don't like change either. This guy, the way that he plays a position is crazy. It's crazy in a good way. Well, it's crazy. The guy is just, he does a lot, man. He does just so much, and he elevates the team around him big time. And he's been extremely successful in the league, and that's been another thing too. He has been the victim of his own success. He's been the victim of his own success, because with Lamar Jackson, he again first season in the regular season, I think he went 7-1, I believe. Second year, he starts the whole year. They go 14-2, so he goes 14. Yeah, he goes 13-2, because I mean he didn't play the last game. Then the following year, he goes 11-4. The team went 11-5 because he didn't play in the COVID game against Pittsburgh. But anyway, playoffs every single year, extremely successful every single year. Touchdown to interception ratio is good every single year. Of course, the unanimous MVP, and that speaks volumes. Sometimes I forget how important and how big that is, that somebody is a unanimous MVP, because every year when you hear about MVP, you hear about it in NFL, you hear about it in NBA. That's all I hear about it for, because I don't hear about it in baseball and hockey, because I don't care about those. But anyway, you hear about the MVP, and then you hear about the voting process. This guy got so many votes, this guy got so many votes, this guy got so many votes. But a unanimous decision means that everybody was on the exact same page, and there was no doubt in anybody's mind that this guy, whoever you're voting for, that was it. So for him to get the unanimous MVP, to where everybody is on the same page and everybody says, yes, it's Lamar Jackson, that's big. That's huge. That's huge. And the only other person that ever got that was Thomas Brady. And he's been all right, huh? I'd say. But that's so big. That's a huge accolade, man. And like I said, a lot of times I forget just how great of an accolade that is. But it is. But again, him not being a conventional type of quarterback, people they're not feeling it, man. Now, just to go through my guy Joseph, just to go through his comment. He said as he's also led the league in touchdown passes, but we constantly hear that Lamar Jackson can't throw. Yes, that's another thing too. We do hear that a lot. Lamar Jackson can't throw the football. And again, it's crazy, and I think a lot of it is narratives. A lot of it is just blowing things out of proportion. I know one thing that's talked about with Lamar Jackson is his throws to the outside. A lot of people say that he can't throw to the outside. He can't throw to the outside. I know in college, I'm not sure if it was the top of the NCAA, or even in his conference, whatever. But I know in college his receivers dropped a lot of passes for him. They dropped a lot of passes for him. But in the pros, I'll speak about what I do know of. In the pros, a lot of people like to say, oh, Lamar Jackson can't throw outside. He can't throw outside the numbers. He can't throw outside. But then you got to look at who he's throwing to on the outside. That's something that stands out to me. Whenever people say that, oh, yeah, he can't throw to the outside. He can't throw outside the number. Da, 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 da. Who is he throwing to on the outside? He has a Hollywood Brown. And I love Hollywood Brown. And he has been a Ravens #1 receiver. But with Hollywood, he's not going to win a jump ball against a cornerback. What is Hollywood, like 5'6", 5'7"? I forget how tall Hollywood is. But he's not going to win a jump ball on a cornerback. He also had a Seth Roberts. Seth Roberts was cool. He had Willie Snead. Willie Snead was 5'10". He'll go up and get it now. But to him consistently going up and get it, he's a slot receiver. So Miles Boykin, they don't even be on the same page. Lamar, Miles Boykin, they were not on the same page. Chris Moore is, oh man, Chris Moore is up and down. Chris Moore he would give his heart, man. Chris Moore would give his heart, but he had some drop issues, man. And I think it was one of those things where there was a mix of opportunity too. It reminds me sort of like a Miles Boykin, because with Miles Boykin, he'll have some drops too, but I think his drops get a little extra emphasized because he doesn't get the volume like that. So anything that he does, and that's the same way with Lamar Jackson, because it's a small volume for the amount of times that he throws throughout the season. So whatever he does is going to get emphasized, but he is very efficient. He's extremely efficient. So he's not going to throw for no 4,500 yards, 4,200 yards. He ain't going to throw for that. But he'll certainly have a significant amount of touchdowns. That's just how it is. That's just how it is. But anyway, who else? Other receivers over the years, and even going back to his rookie year, John Brown. John Brown didn't want to play with Lamar Jackson, and it showed. We could see it from the effort. There were a lot of times Lamar would throw him a good pass, and he would just alligator arm it. He wouldn't reach out for it, wouldn't go get it. He would alligator arm it. Michael Crabtree. I like Michael Crabtree. I wish his time with the Ravens would have been better. I did like him. And the thing I liked about him the most was his heart, and he was a veteran, and he had experienced the change before. Obviously, he had experienced some similar change before. Actually, as a matter of fact, I didn't even think about this until right now when I'm talking about it. How he went to the 49ers, or he got drafted by the 49ers, I believe, but he on the 49ers. His quarterback's Alex Smith. That's his guy. That's his quarterback. And then, hold up, was he on that team? Yeah. His quarterback was Alex Smith, and quarterback got switched to Kaepernick. Different quarterback, different dynamic, but Kaepernick, he's made stuff happen, boy. That boy made stuff happen. And Crabtree just rolled with it. He rolled with it. Big quarterback change, huge quarterback change, completely different styles. But he rolled with it. So in this scenario, he came to play for Joe Flacco. Signed a 3-year, $21 million deal that they really wanted to give to Dez Bryant back then. But Dez Bryant said, no, I'm straight. Turn him down. But then it ended up coming right back around a couple years later. But anyway, they wanted to sign Dez Bryant. He said no. So they went to Michael Crabtree. All right, Crabtree, come through. Okay, I'm down. I'll sign. And of course, only like the first year was guaranteed, and they cut him after, which was no surprise. But anyway, back to my point. His heart, man. That dude, he gave his heart. He showed just a lot of support for Lamar as a quarterback, and you saw it on the field, you saw it off the field, on the sidelines and stuff. You just saw it, and it just looked genuine too. If it wasn't genuine, then Crabtree did a great job of acting. But it looked genuine, and so he was an all right outside receiver. His route running was his thing, but he just that last year he was on his last couple of NFL legs, man, when he was with the Ravens. I was hoping it was gonna be better, but it was a bit rough. What other receivers has Lamar Jackson had? Who am I forgetting? Oh, Prochet doesn't count. I mean, he had, 2 passes thrown his way. He caught one. Other one was a pick six, which was a bad play by Lamar Jackson. Devin Duvernay. Duvernay too. Again. And Prochet was, I think Prochet is like 5'8", 5'9". And he just doesn't have that NFL explosiveness yet. Hopefully this season, things can change. We'll see. But Duvernay definitely is explosive, but Duvernay 5'10". 5'10" guy. He's not an outside receiver like that. 5'10". So, and I'm not knocking short guy, because I mean I'm short myself, but as outside receivers, and not that they can't do it, but again, when you talk about the outside throws, man, it's who is he throwing to on the outside? You got to look at that too. You got to. So it's just that's been something that stood out to me. Oh, then there's Mark Andrews. And Mark Andrews, he connect with some Mark Andrews on the outside, but then you look at Mark Andrews. Now he has some drops. Mark Andrews will certainly have his drops for sure, 1,000%. But Mark, for the drops, he makes up with it in big plays, except in big games. But besides big games, against the Browns, if it's a big game against the Browns, then Mark Andrews will show up. But if it's a big game against anybody, so Mark Andrews just got to step up, man. But for all the drops that Mark Andrews has, he does make up for it with big plays. And when Lamar Jackson is throwing to him on the outside, oh yeah, it'll work. He gets it done there. If Lamar Jackson was throwing to like Hayden Hurst on the outside when he was here. So, but definitely Mark Andrews. But again, Mark Andrews is like 6'5". So you see what I'm saying? if you were to give him the talent at outside receiver, then let's have the conversation. Then let's see what it is. But the Ravens, that's just something that they haven't really done like that. And now this offseason, hopefully it seems as if they're trending in another direction. They signed Sammy Watkins. I think Watkins is like 6'3", 6'4". How tall is Sammy Watkins? Well, Sammy Watkins is a proven outside receiver. Proven outside receiver. He's 6'1", but he got speed, but he also got injury history. So yeah, there's that. And then Rashad Bateman, rookie. He was excellent route runner. He was the first receiver that I watched film on, and he became my favorite. And I really wanted the Ravens to draft him. So I was so happy when it happened. But he's looking to be that guy, another outside guy. So that should be good for Lamar moving forward. But that's about the outside throws. Then I know he didn't say it right here. He just talked about how people say Lamar Jackson can't throw. I was on checking YouTube this morning, and by the way, I'm recording this on July 1st, so 6 days early. Wow, this is crazy. But anyway, with that, I was on YouTube this morning looking at comments, and somebody said Lamar Jackson, he can't make the tight throws, the tight window throws. And I was thinking, what? Like, even from his rookie year, when he wasn't even used to an NFL ball, he was making the tight window throws. So he's been on the tight window throws for a minute. And there'll be some crazy tight window throws. Like, I remember seeing so many replays of those tight window throws. I'm like, what? How did he do that? How did he do that? And it's like something from, I think the movie was Salt. But I'm like, man, this is like, so he can definitely make the tight window throws, for sure. For sure. What else did he say? He said, this is truly wrong for a young QB to hear and could affect his growth on trying too hard to prove the naysayers wrong. That's something that I worry about with just the Ravens organization, period. I worry that they listen to outside noise too much, and not even that they just listen to it, but they let it affect them and affect their game. And we've seen that ever since Lamar Jackson's rookie year. We saw it even in his second year, and in the third year, last year. Did we see it? I don't think we really saw it the third year, but definitely the first two. We saw how they let the outside noise impact them. And it was just like, oh boy. So hopefully moving forward. Even this year too. This year too. And this offseason as well. This offseason for sure. But they actually used it. They used it to their advantage with the draft. Because Eric DeCosta, remember before the draft, he was like, oh, I'm insulted that fans and people think that our wide receiver group isn't good. I'm insulted by that. Then he goes out and drafts both Rashad Bateman and Tylan Wallace. Oof, he got us. But anyway, he also said, I love Lamar Jackson, what he's done for the Ravens organization. The reason for my post is venting out against these haters who will eventually be proven wrong. But again, that's the thing. If you are adamant about something, you passionate about something, you like, I am right about this, I know I am for sure, I'm not going to be wrong. And then it gets proven wrong. You're not going to want to be like, oh, I was wrong. You're not going to want to do that. And that's the same way it is with all these analysts and experts and whatnot. Lamar Jackson is different. He is different. He is not your prototypical franchise quarterback. He talks different. And a lot of people don't like that. And one thing that I absolutely hate with a passion, I hate it, is when people associate how you talk, how you speak with intelligence. I hate it. It is so annoying. People think, oh, just because you're not speaking like this with perfect English, then you're stupid. You're dumb. You don't know anything. I hate that. Hate it. I think that is just disgusting. I do not like that at all when people think that way. I think it's very ignorant. I think it's just straight up dumb. It's like straight up don't like it at all. But that's how a lot of people think. That is how a lot of people think. It is so unfortunate. And that, like, my wife at her job, at her previous job, she said that, I forgot how the conversation came up, but they were talking about football and they were talking about Lamar Jackson. And somebody at her job was like, oh man, this Lamar Jackson, he can't be that smart. Do you hear the way he talks? And I'm thinking, like, what? I wasn't there, obviously, because it was at her job. But she was like, no, that doesn't mean anything. But because it doesn't. It really doesn't. And people try to say that about him too. Oh, because he speaks a certain way, then he's dumb. No, you know he's not dumb. If he was dumb, how would he be able to operate on a football field? Like, people think that with football, it's just throwing on a helmet, putting on some pads, and going out and hitting somebody. It's not. In football, you have to be smart, especially if you're having success. If you're going to be a successful player, you have to be smart. It's a requirement because there's so much work that goes into it. There's so much studying that goes into it. It's so much grind, so much effort, so much everything that goes into it. You have to be smart. You got to have brains. You have to. Because, and I didn't appreciate this until, well, it's been a while, but I've appreciated it for a long time. But when I did start to really understand football a lot more, and there's still a lot of stuff that I don't understand, but when I started to understand it a lot more, it gave me a better appreciation of what these guys go through, what they have to deal with, just the process of football game, practice, training camp, everything that goes into it. So, yeah, he's definitely not dumb. Because I've seen that too. Oh, man, Lamar Jackson, I've seen people talk about his IQ. People talk about it. It's like, what? Really? Come on now. And then I even see people say he can't read defenses. And it's like, what? What are you talking about? What? And this is another thing too, and we've spoken about this before. A lot has to do with the media. A whole lot has to do with the media too, because what the media will do, and some of them, I think they do it intentionally, but some of them may not. But I think a lot of them do. With Lamar Jackson, when they're talking about him, and this is how it gets to your subconscious part. They'll be talking about him, speaking of, Lamar Jackson, this Lamar Jackson, and that's cool. All right, cool. But when they be showing the highlights about Lamar Jackson, they'll only show his running highlights. They won't be showing the passing stuff. And there's plenty of passes that you can show highlights on, but they'll only show his running. And when they only show his runs, then the people watching, who may just be watching a TV show just to watch a TV show, which is nothing wrong with that, but they'll be watching, and the commentators will be talking, the reporters will be speaking, and they'll be watching, and if the reporters are saying, oh, this guy can't throw, and all the viewer is looking at is a highlight of him run, then in their subconscious, they're like, oh man, all he does is run. And then they take that and they run with it. They take it and run with it, and that's it. It's like, oh, it's unfortunate, man. It's very unfortunate. So the media has a lot to do with it as well. That's why I am very glad for, I'm very glad for stuff like YouTube, to where we can talk about stuff and it doesn't have to be run by the media. We can have conversation. We can be honest about stuff. We don't have to be given a script. It's like, all right, say this, talk about that. No. We could talk about whatever. So anyway, that's another thing with Lamar. Now, Jerome W., another patron, he responded to the original comment. And he said, people just don't like it when others don't conform to a norm or make them question why something is done a certain way. And that's true. That's what I was talking about, too. People don't like change. They don't like different. He said, Lamar does both. He excels at running and passing. When he wins a ring, they will be pushed to admit he is elite. Even then, and I've been saying this since 2018. Since Lamar first came on the scene, I've been saying that nothing that Lamar Jackson ever does will ever be good enough for some people. No matter what he does, he could win 10 Super Bowls. I'll say, why didn't he win 11? He could win 3, 4, 5, 6 MVPs. They'll be like, oh, they weren't all unanimous, so they're not even that good. It's always going to be something no matter what. No matter what. No matter what. Anyway, he said, when he wins a ring, they will be pushed to admit that he is elite, but expect many to still call him a running quarterback or average. It's going to happen. There are people still claiming that Tom Brady isn't the GOAT at quarterback. If Tom Brady still gets trash talk after 6 rings, expect trashing Lamar to continue for a very long time. I will be happy, though, when it isn't a regular weekly thing. That's a good point. That's a very good point about the Tom Brady thing. Because with Tom Brady, Tom Brady. Ooh, yes. Tom Brady definitely will always be trash talked. So that is a very good point on that. But he is always trash talked, but he gets far more respect than a Lamar Jackson. And of course, he's been around the game forever. He's been around for what? I think 20 years. I think this is going into year 21, I believe. And Lamar Jackson only been around for 3. Yeah. But he did say, I'll be happy, though, when it isn't a regular weekly thing. And I think that this whole conversation even came up in the first place from what we have been seeing with the whole PFF thing. Because PFF has definitely been trolling this week. Again, I'm recording this on July 1st. PFF put out this past week, or earlier this week, it's like on June 27th, whenever it was, or maybe it was the end of last week, whatever it was. Oh, yeah, that's what it was, the end of last week. PFF put out a top 50 players in the NFL list, top 50 list, and Lamar Jackson was not on there. And there's just, again, if you're a Ravens fan or not, if you're just an NFL fan, then there's absolutely no way that you talk about the top 50 players in the NFL and you don't have Lamar Jackson on there. There's no way. There's no way. That's impossible. It's impossible. Impossible. And then they even double down on it. But again, we know it's right now a slow season. So I think they're just trying to start some controversy just to get a little buzz going. Get a little buzz going on the PFF website and whatnot. Hey, PFF, do your thing. I know it's a business move. Because I know there's no way that people actually really are going with that list and they really believe in what they said. So, but it's all good. Now, my guy Gareth, he chimed in too. He said it hurts to even watch sports channels anymore. Everyone is taking shots at Lamar. I wish they would just watch how productive he is. I wish they would think for themselves and not piggyback off of other people's opinions. Yeah, and I mean that's the unfortunate part of the media. And I mean it can be with anything that anybody follows. Whether it be media, whether it be even if on YouTube or something. Sometimes people, they don't think for themselves. They'll just watch something and be like, okay, that's right. But that's why on here, like on the channel and stuff, I always tell people, hey, if you don't agree with me, that's fine. That's fine. I'm always open for a nice, healthy conversation about whatever it is that we're talking about. No problem with that at all. I encourage that. I appreciate that. Because, and this happens so many times on the channel where I'll say something and somebody won't agree. I'll be like, okay, so what's their reasoning on it? Then they'll present it to me and I'll be like, oh, okay, I didn't think about it like that. You presented a nice point of view, so I appreciate that. So we can both walk away having learned something from each other. And that just makes the conversation that much better. and I really appreciate it. So it's just a lot of fun that way. It's a lot more fun that way. So shout out to these guys for chiming in, Joseph, Jerome, and Gareth. Appreciate it, big time, for real. Now Lamar Jackson again. Now with all that being said, he is definitely not a perfect quarterback. He's not a perfect quarterback. He's not the perfect quarterback. He's not. We'll understand that. But he does still have stuff to work on. But again, this is where I wish, and I've been saying this for a couple of years now, but I just wish it would be to where where Lamar Jackson has absolutely no excuse, where the Ravens like really went all out for him. Now this year they've done pretty well. They've done it a little bit frugally, but I just wish there would be no excuse like where they went out and got that guy a receiver for him and even drafted somebody like really went overkill receiver, upgraded the offensive line as well. Now the offensive line, it looks like they're taking care of that, and hopefully Ronnie Stanley will be back healthy. Nick Boyle will come back healthy because he's big to the Ravens offense, especially their run offense and pass offense too, and pass blocking. But I know a lot of times, like even last year, like Lamar would drop back. He would drop back, be looking for somebody. Nobody would come open. The receivers would just be covered. And he'd just be holding the ball. And people wondering, why is he holding the ball so much? Lamar, you got to let it go. Nobody was open. So he would take a sack, throw it away. He'd do something, but nobody was open. So he just held on to it. And it will just, so it's a lot like you can't, even though if you just look at his numbers are pretty. Again, the touchdown to interception ratio is great. Touchdowns up, interceptions down. If you look at those numbers, it's nice. But if you hear people the way they speak about him, you would think this guy was just terrible. You would really think that? You would think he was terrible? So it's just the hey, again, Lamar's not a perfect quarterback. He's not even the best quarterback in the NFL. He definitely got some work to do. But the hate that he receives is in my opinion, I think is very just unwarranted. I think it doesn't make sense. And it shouldn't be the way that it is. So yeah. Anyway, appreciate y'all. Thank you for listening. And I hope y'all enjoy it, because I did. We out. Y'all have a great day. And again, remember, please protect your energy. It's important.